Kevin here back at Wagon Garage. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and start talking about the Coupe and the big winter projects with it going on. I don't know if you can see in the video right now, but we've got the engine out. We're starting to tear apart, look at what we've got going on or what needs to be done. Probably the biggest thing you can see is the chassis is just stripped and bare right now. In some previous videos, of course, we showed you the new steel body. We just tired of not being able to run any races because of a fiberglass body. So next year it will have a full steel body, steel doors, steel trunk, glass windows. It'll have everything in it. We're going to go ahead and switch up. We just got Haltech in. We're going to take the grid out of it, get a lot more information on how to tune this thing. I think we had a lot left in this car. If we could ever had shock set readings going down track was a really big one we were missing out on. We think we could have done better with drive shaft speed, but we'll have data on the drive shaft speed next year. Transmission pressure is something we never had. Jody runs on his, and it's a big help with tuning. We'll have all that information for next year, and maybe some other goodies we don't know yet. So definitely upgrading on the ignition or engine control management system. So looking forward to getting that all lined out next year. Definitely going to be a rough year trying to get that going. Got the engine tore apart, or starting to tear apart. This is a Indy cylinder head street engine. I mean, it is their street legend Hemi. So it's 11-to-1 compression. We thought it had a bigger camshaft in it, and we started doing some numbers a while ago, and the camshaft in this thing is very, very mild. Very surprising that it runs as good as what it does. So we're going to be trying to get a hold of some cam manufacturers here and see what they recommend as far as getting the cam lift and degrees in, and what they think we need to be running. In some earlier testing this year, we've been spraying nitrous to it here and there. It just doesn't react to nitrous. I can run within 2-3 hundredths of what I can run with not almost 200 horse, about 175 to 200 horse shot of nitrous. I'm only picking up 400ths in less than 5 mile an hour. So this thing should not be doing that with that much nitrous. It should be picking up tenths. So we don't know exactly, but we think the torque converter is what's causing our problems. We've never really had a torque converter set for this. We bought used and traded around and got what we've got in there. It works good for like 550 class. Running a little bit faster, yes, it's a little better, but anytime we start putting power to it, it just doesn't ever react to having a lot of power in it. It works really good with lower timing in it, seems like, than what it does with higher timing in it. So we really think that torque converter is going to be our biggest improvement. We're probably going to take the plate system, probably not completely off. We might just use that for finish line driving, and hoping to have a fogger on it this year and start spraying it a little bit harder than what we have been. So we should have a lot more power coming up this coming season, and a lot better control over what we had. Not that we had traction problems for the most part, but we have wheel stand problems. And I think with that shock information and stuff, we can help regulate and, you know, keep the front tires on the ground. So hopefully that'll help there. We'll have more power, steel body, all around. It should be almost a completely different car. So definitely a lot of work coming up this winter. The body I have is fairly good shape, but there is some rust in the lower parts of it, so we got to do rust repair. Anybody that's done rust repair knows that it sucks, and I can't buy patch panels for it. We thought we found a company for it. This guy that once I contacted him said that basically the manufacturer he had stamping the parts out can no longer stamp them out, and he's at a point where he has to buy another expensive die to make it work, and he doesn't want to spend the money for the die for this particular car, which completely understand, but it leaves us in a very bad spot. So with that being said, I have to hand form every patch panel on this car. And if you guys know anything about that, that is very time consuming. I'm already set up over here, and we took our big finger and I started doing a little testing here and hammering, and haven't really dollied or rolled anything out yet, but we're just starting to get a form built where we can start making the patch panels for the lower part of the car. I don't think we have to do a whole rocker, but if we do, that'd be very time consuming, considering I've got probably 30-40 minutes just tied up and getting that done. So if you know anything about it, it just will be very time consuming having to go down the whole bottom length of the car. This is for the quarter part of the car, and we're just going to keep hammering that, and that's the bottom roll for the rocker panel. So that would be at the bottom of the car like that, coming down through there. Going to be a buttload of time getting all that done, and we really don't have time to waste on doing this, but that's the predicament we're in right now. So we'll do what we have to do, and work our butts off to get it done. That's all we can do. So we got to pull the whole engine apart, completely go through it. We're going to have to go through and spec everything inside the engine, because we actually been running with a broken spiral lock all season long, but we were afraid to actually pull a cylinder head or anything off of it in the thought that we couldn't get parts, and we don't know what parts we need because we've never had the engine apart to know what parts we need. This engine was bought used. Don't know what head gaskets on it, don't know what rings are in it, don't know what bearings are in it, nothing. So when we got it apart this winter, we'll get all the part numbers. We'll have to go through everything, get you know, so it's going to take a lot more time than just a normal rebuild to spec everything out and have all the part numbers and everything written down. So next time, if we break something or blow a head gasket, or we need to pull it apart and put rings in it, we can have the parts setting here when we pull the engine apart, instead of pulling apart and then ordering parts and not knowing if we can get them in or not. So that's going to cause a lot more heartache this winter trying to get the engine rebuilt, but in the long run, we'll be a lot better off than what we're doing. The transmission, luckily, we had some issues right there at the last Roadrunner race. What was that? October's race. And we overheated it. we think, at the starting line. So we went ahead and pulled it apart. We went through it. Everything's good inside of it. Everything's good and fresh in there. So we don't think there's anything. So we've done saved ourselves on the transmission. We don't have to rebuild it. So luckily that's one thing. All the wiring, you can see a mess going on, and Keith would just, I'm sure if he come and seen it right now, be dying, because he does all of our wiring. And normally all our stuff is very, very organized, very neat and tidy. And we have been adding on and taking off this car since 2013. Definitely upgrading a lot of stuff that we didn't have, changing stuff. Whenever we went to the Hemi engine, we changed the frame rails, and it caused new wiring harness issues. So just all kinds of wires have been added and taken out and cut and snipped, and things have been added on and taken away. So of course the wiring's just a mess. And I would say once we get a hold of Keith, he's going to say the same thing, and he's going to cut it all out, and we're going to start from zero and just completely redo the wiring. Another thing, brake pedal in this car is very uncomfortable for me to drive. It's very far back. There's just not a lot of room in this car because you have a body setting right here, and the transmission tunnel sets right along the edge of that gas pedal. So there's not a lot of room to move this brake pedal, but we're gonna go ahead and we believe we're gonna try to get this brake pedal moved back as far as what we can, and maybe an inch, 2 inch, whatever we can get out of it. It'll just be a huge help to me driving the car, make me a little more comfortable in there. If we have time, I may end up making a new floor pan and transmission tunnel, trying to give us more foot room inside the car, make it a little more friendly for the driver. It definitely very tight in here for that. So we had a bunch of problems with our old painless switch box. We'll probably, the plan is to eliminate that completely. Probably go to a new ARC, or the ARC control panel. Pulling the grid out of it. Done sold it to Keith. He's gonna put that in his new car. Rear end, springs, all that stuff I don't know yet. We would like to upgrade to a 9-inch this winter and go ahead and get that over with. Honestly, it just probably is not gonna happen. We're gonna have to run the 8 3/4 again for another year, or till we bust it out this summer and have to change it out in mid-year or something. But as of right now, probably gonna end up running the 8 3/4 one more year, and get the rear end fixed up for next year and get a 9-inch under it and done. So that's pretty much our plans for this winter. As you can see, there's the body. Not going to release anything on paint schemes or anything yet, because we're not really 100% sure what we're going to do with the paint yet. Several ideas have been bouncing, but we don't know yet. So we'll have to just wait that out and see what we come up with. So, but this has Lexan windows in it right now. We will have true glass next year. The only one we don't know about, I've done got most of them cut for the new car, is the windshield right now. And the company I was dealing with on the glass said that they don't know if they can get their company to cut the windshield out accurate enough for not having any moldings or anything around it. And I really don't want to run a molding or anything. So as of right now, we'll probably check on some other places to cut the windshield out. But the whole plan is to definitely have a glass windshield, door glass in it. As you can see, steel doors, steel trunk, but that's pretty much all I know of on this one. Jody's this winter, probably very minor stuff. There's a few things I know of he's wanting. We've got some, we gotta fix the mirror that keeps falling off. Not because it just falls off, but because it gets caught on the trailer wire and breaks off. But we've got to, wanting to paint the front valance or front bumper again. If we get time, we caught it like the first weekend out on the car trailer and cracked the paint all around on it. So would like to, at some point in time, get that fixed. We'd like to paint the valve covers and the charge pipe, but we'll see what happens with that. Don't know, definitely very busy. We can go into the Roadrunner satellite project. It's come a long ways here lately. It is officially running. I think we've done a video on that one already. We've got the front bumper and grill sitting in it. Very dusty sitting in here, but we've got the trunk sitting on it now. The passenger door's been painted and installed. Starting to put door handles and pretty stuff on it. Keith's supposed to be getting the dash done here shortly. Once the dash is done, we've got to get the headliner, and then we can put the windows in the car. And it's just coming down to an end on it too. But once again, we're wintertime, so we was hoping to be done right now with it. We're not. So we've got definitely a bunch of work. This one, we all agree we want it done in the springtime for sure. It's just been too long. Dad's getting too old, and it's time to get it done and over with. So this one's going to be a big part of the winter, trying to get stuff done too. And I think that's it for these projects. We've got Race's truck. The engine for it is at the machine shop. Block's getting bored, getting pistons fly cut, stuff like that. We've got a lot of work to do to the truck yet before we can get the engine installed anyway, but would like to get the engine together here shortly. May have some plans about getting the rear end set up in it. Maybe got a few ideas floating around both ways. If we're going to keep leaf spring under, go ladder bar. Got to get motor mounts. We're going to do an engine, go ahead and put an engine plate in it for now. Just easier to install the big block. We'll have to get a set of headers built or try to find a set of headers that'll work. Got to make a cross member for transmission, a drive shaft, and quite a bit of stuff there, but we'd like to get some of that knocked out this winter. So going to be a very short 3 or 4 months here trying to get stuff done, but hopefully parts will come in, stuff will go our way, and we'll go from there. So that'll be it for this time. Please like, subscribe, and see you next time.